Since the war broke out in Tigray, millions have been displaced, businesses and telecommunications closed, and public property looted and destroyed by the Ethiopian and Eritrean governments. In addition, the closing of bank services and the discontinuation of employee salaries since June has meant that even middle and higher income households are unable to afford essentials such as food and medical care and are in a dire need of emergency assistance. This is Mr. Stonoval, a French national that has been residing in Meghallo for the past 2 years. He describes the situation of the siege on Tigray.
I came Mekele 2.5 years ago to try to make a training center, and I crossed Corona period, war period, occupation, and now restriction. So we are blocked with no banking system, very small food, no communication at all. I came private to work for dental clinics and hospital to teach dental techniques method. Before the war was freedom, and suddenly all closed. Restriction hour, economy, sadness, violence, and now we are here.
Mr. Yul Guish and Mr. Shisha Ekwar are also residents of Meghallo. They are one of the 10,000s of Meghallo University employees that have had their salaries discontinued by the federal government in June. They say the federal government is using education as a weapon of war.
As it is obvious, we staffs of Meghallo University are employed under the federal government or under the Ministry of Higher Education, which means we have the same rights and responsibilities as any member of any university in the rest of Ethiopia. Since the Ethiopian army was pushed out of most parts of Tigray, which was at the end of June, we haven't had any kind of our salaries or our income given to us because it has been blocked by the federal government. In addition to that, we cannot get any access of any of our savings from the bank, and we cannot go on with our lives as normal people. So this marginalization of staffs of Tigrayan universities, specifically Meghallo University itself, was the cause for our demonstration about a week ago around most parts of the city and in front of the UN agencies. As it was expressed on the demonstration, we expressed that we are in a dire situation. Many people who have actually a lot of family members to feed, other commodities to purchase or something, or even some medication that they have to use because of the lack of salary, because of the lack of money, because of the lack of bank systems. They cannot satisfy all of these things. This has made it very difficult for us as federal employees to go on with our lives like our other colleagues of ours are doing in the rest of Ethiopia. This is a very important issue because we see it as the use of education as a weapon of politics, because we are employees of an educational institution, and based on international laws and based on all diplomatic laws, we are not supposed to be used as a weapon to subdue an economy and a political struggle. But that's what's happening now. People are being starved, and that was the main goal of the demonstration.
The people of Tigray is dying, so any concern, especially the international institutions like UN must act, was the main objective. But when I say this, like what it has been said, it has been mentioned, we are also being part of, affected as being part of the community. So like, it was not specifically for the university, it was like, you know, applauding about the taking the privileges that we have, a university community, we want to assert, we want to you know, applaud the situations that the public at large is suffering in. So this was the main objectives of the demonstration, like as the university community.
Save the lives of our people now. Save the lives of our people now.
Well, I can say that the region is at all in a dire situation where there is no, you know, commodities for daily usage, where there is no bank and financial transactions, where there is no fuel, and different public services are not yet functional, like the electricity, the communication. So taking this all things into account, well, I can say that the whole region is in a dire situation, which people are having or living in a hardship, quite hardship. So the problem is massive. And the cause for this one is like what the UL said. It has been like happening after waging a war over the region since November. Actually, it was like you know, becomes more severe, or it happens, or it become like, you know, the situation become a very hard, especially after the federal government or the soldiers, the federal government soldiers withdraw from the, I mean, kicked out of the region, naming that they go out from the region for unilateral ceasefire, while the truth is happened to be like, you know, they were just kicked out of the region. So what I can say is the people of the Tigray is in bad condition. They are having a very, you know, a catastrophic life that they have never been before. So in this way I can describe the situation, what is happening in the region at large.
So every day, Faranji receive Ambesha and Buna, one brother and sister, in addition done. This is my lunch and my dinner, my breakfast, my lunch and my dinner. And we hope tomorrow we can have a normal food. I don't know, it's very politic to do it, but I think I have a global plan to change the model maybe. But actually many people are suffering, and especially sometimes I think it's a war rich against the poor. That's why that's what I feel sometimes. You have this rich against the poor, because poor cannot survive. They don't have the same access to monetary system. Education is different. So I think for me this war is rich against the poor. Tigray had a good development. I came 2 years ago, but I saw, I feel like Europe for many things. And suddenly we go back 400 years ago, I don't know, in 1 week. So it's like this. I don't know well, but I feel it is the poor we receive the more damage.
The situation in Tigray has become so dire that people are literally starving to death. Kids are dying from malnutrition and famine-related diseases. Elderly people are dying from lack of medication. People who have chronic disease are not getting access of medication for different diseases, and the lack of food aid for different parts of the region, such as IDPs or other parts of the region, it's getting to be very hard. And from what we are seeing, the government of Ethiopia is not willing to let anything pass to this region. All the corridors that existed before, all the transportation routes that existed before are blocked. Even though the humanitarian agencies and all organizations such as the UN, the EU, and other agencies are asking to open such corridors, the unwillingness from the government of Ethiopia is making everything harder. What we are hearing more and more is that the corridors, specifically the corridor along the Afar route, is not allowing food aid, fuel, medication to pass into Tigray. Thousands of cars are stranded for months. The UN agency, UN OCHA, has been saying 100 vehicles a day should arrive to alleviate the problem, not even to solve it. But now, for over a month and a half, just over 100 vehicles have passed. And even those vehicles that have arrived here cannot go back because they don't have enough fuel to return. In addition to that,
Humanitarian partners estimate that 100 trucks with food and non-food items and fuel must enter Tigray every day to meet the needs of the 5.3 million people in need of emergency assistance and the 1 million facing famine. According to UN organizations, only 10% of that aid is reaching Tigray.
In Tigray, since the beginning of November last year, has been coming actually for the past 3 years. We have seen the signs of it repetitively in different scenarios, starting from the closure and blockade of infrastructure such as roads and transportation, especially through the Amhara region and other parts, and displacement of Tigrayans from different parts of Ethiopia, and political arrests of different Tigrayans from all over Ethiopia. But the crisis became of a huge scale, specifically since the beginning of November, if I'm not mistaken, November 4, 2020. That beginning, which we call the beginning of the war, apparently besieged Tigray from all parts, from all angles of the region, and it had created not only a war crisis but also famine and other different humanitarian problems on all parts of Tigray. And this was a collaboration of different forces, particularly the Ethiopian government forces, the Amhara government regional forces, and the Eritrean forces. And the use of different military weapons from the Emirates have been also used to subdue the people of Tigray, and it has been going on now for almost 12 months. The security procedure that the government has put around the route of Afar is making it so hard to pass anything. Not because there is something that's being hidden, but because it's purposefully being done to make sure everything arrives late. So things are being stranded. Because of that, people are lacking the things that they require the most. All agencies are expressing their frustration with the Ethiopian government. All agencies, government, international governments such as the US or members of the EU are all expressing these problems. But somehow the government of Ethiopia is giving blind eye. This shows the intention that the government has. It's not about the war with a certain political group or political thinking. Just like what one of the advisors of the Prime Minister said, it's about drying the source of the so-called problem. So this type of ethnically based or ethnically enforced mentality has made any of the corridors to be open. The corridor that was supposed to be open through Sudan is also becoming has become difficult since the beginning of the war, because the intention of the government as part of its strategy is to block Tigray and Tigrayans from having an access to not only humanitarian aid, but also any route into another neighboring nation. So all of this, to sum up, all of these are making the problem more and more deadly. Every day we're hearing people are dying, not just in the regional areas or in the rural areas. People are dying in IDP centers, in hospitals, in cities, even in Magala. So this needs a very immediate action from anyone, specifically to open up the humanitarian corridors and not use such basic human rights as a use of a political agenda.
The SAGE that is being implemented in all parts of the region, which is done by the federal government, it is actually, I can say, it is intentionally being done, and it it has been said, it's against the people. I can say that because had you have not any other intention, you wouldn't block any humanitarian in corridors. So the international community has been nagging, or in fact insisting so many times to open up the corridors, and even the regional government have asked for such a preconditions as part of the negotiations. And after all, it's like it has to be unconditionally opened up, the corridors which the federal government, Tigray people and the Tigray in general, is suffering with the lack of commodities. There has not been any commodities that comes in since the war has been started, especially later on after the federal government go out from the region, and medicines and public service, like I said before, is not yet functional. So where there is no this all goods and services, well, it's quite expected that people would be in a their situation, or in a hunger, in starvation, in in general. It's people would it's expected that people will is under something unprecedented situation, which shouldn't be happening this century. So I can say that the people of Tigray is in a massive problem, which it cannot be even words cannot even express.
Tigray without bank system. We are blocked. So we stay 3 months without electricity. So economy immediately down. Price multiplied by 3, so it means we have less money. So to stand up without help, I don't know how we can do. So we need an international banking system, make a link with Tigray to kind of recapitalize the system. We need communication. Not internet, 1 year no internet. You imagine in 21st century? I think for me, communication is a right at this period of humanity, So we need Europe help. We need each family knows the situation because it can appear to their country, not only in Africa. War can come everywhere. So we need banking system, we need communication, we need help maybe to make a new infrastructure. Many things are broken in Tigray. Bridge, even you want work, you want to go help, many things are broken. So it will take time. It takes time, but we are in emergency situation, real emergency situation.
Magala is also a home to 100,000 internally displaced persons living in a repurposed facilities and mainly depend on host communities to provide them with food, clothes, and other essential items.
The extent of the impact of the war that has engulfed Tigray cannot be explained with words. There are people affected, displaced from their houses, people killed in their houses, in their villages, people that have been displaced not just once but more than once, from place to place, changing their destination too many times because of the atrocities that were happening. And that has followed by the siege, the blockade of access to commodities, finance and other types of aid that was being provided by the international community. And the biggest group that is actually affected with this is the internally displaced people. Most small, medium, and big towns in Tigray are housing hundreds of thousands of internally displaced people. Most of these internally displaced people are housed mostly in schools. And these schools are overpopulated by these internally displaced people, and it has caused or it has become a center for different types of both health and humanitarian problems. Food and other aid has been provided by the residents of each of the towns they are residing in. For example, Magala, over 200,000 IDPs have been housed for the past 8, 9 months or 10 months, mostly in schools and some in other institutions such as churches and other religious institutions, and some even are living in family houses where residents of Magala are trying to support them in anything they can. But since the end of June, even the people of Magala are suffering. This is directly and indirectly affecting internally displaced people. When the people of the cities or the towns are not getting any commodity, any finance, any service from banking, any of the other services such as telecommunication and electricity, what it in turn does is it puts pressure on the hosts. And the hosts are suffering, in turn, then the IDPs are suffering because the IDPs have not been provided with enough humanitarian aid due to the blockade. Now the effect is being very much visible through the deaths of kids, through the deaths of pregnant women, new women that are giving birth, and even some elderly people who have been hosting different type of diseases. Now the scale of this disaster is just increasing dramatically. In the past 2 months, it has become very difficult for even a healthy mind to apprehend. What can we do? The most important thing that can be done is the pressure that is put on the invading forces, specifically on the government of Ethiopia, matters. If it doesn't open the humanitarian corridors as soon as possible, the effect is going to be immense.
Due to the blocking of all the corridors, that the people cannot be able to survive, let alone to feed the IDPs, but also to support himself or herself. So I think this has a correlation with the IDPs, the host community vis-a-vis the IDPs. We have seen for the last 11 months the role of the host communities was at large. I can say that they were just supportive, they were helpful, they were taking good care of the IDPs to the extent that they have.
Many people at night they broke the door.
Your door?
Yeah, the door of all my neighbor. They shut my house during 20 minutes. They stay on my roof.
These are the Ethiopian
Ethiopian soldier. So they also, I hear many things. I have many friends everywhere in Mekele, so I'm witness about this situation. They had beat many people in Kebele 16 also. All people fear. They don't understand the situation, the language. They arrived one morning. We were all under the shock. So it was very difficult time, and it's still very difficult because even they are not here, all is blocked. All is blocked. Food very limited. We stay without fruit. Imagine we are in Africa. Normally fruit is abundant, so we are in restriction. No fruit, no vitamins. Many people are losing their job day after day. We are living daily without future. We don't know what can happen. What happened tomorrow? We have no information. We receive no information. We were cut off all media during 3 months. Yeah. So all Tigrinya people are surviving every day.
The residents say that any further delay in the delivery of aid and medical supplies could result in an unimaginable humanitarian catastrophe and ask the world to act now rather than later.
In general, the situation in Tigray, the war and its effects are just, it makes anyone with a heart and with empathy emotional. We're here, we're seeing it, living it, but even those who are in Maqala, we don't actually know or feel what's happening in each part of the region of Tigray. Time just goes by. Now it's 11 months, it's going to be 12 months, just like that. And the suffering is just arithmetically increasing, and now it's getting out of control. Anyone that you would think can survive such a disaster is now at a stage that it cannot. It doesn't matter how much money you made, it doesn't matter how healthy you were, it doesn't matter what age you are, it just gets to you. Death is imminent to anybody. Unless something happens fast, the situation is going to be something the whole international community, the whole humanity in general is going to regret. We are in the 21st century. We are in a time where information can go from point A to point B in seconds, but the response is not as it should be. Both the international community and agencies should start to put their nails into the situation. That's what I feel. The IDP are suffering, the host community is suffering, children are suffering, they are growing without a healthy mind anymore. What you see stays with you. It's a traumatic situation. And the more it continues, the more it's going to be disastrous. So what I feel and what I would like to say is there should be a collaborative effort as soon as possible to make sure that the siege is stopped, it should end, aid should come, services should be opened. I cannot understand how a society that has been paying its taxes, its dues, its responsibilities for ages can be denied the fruits of all of its contributions just for a political cause. That doesn't make sense. Anybody with a mind, you don't have to be related. If you have a mind, you'd understand that. We're not asking for something to be contributed for us from some other entity. This country is built by us. I pay my taxes. Everyone pays their taxes here. And the fruits of our taxes are the services, access to the services. Anyone, for any intention, that closes, halts the services, is just going against a basic human right. This is the 21st century, and this is what we are being denied, and this should stop as soon as possible. That's what I would say.
Humanitarian law is international law, as part of is international law. So large number of people are dying. So the ones who are responsible, but what I would like to say is, we have to collaboratively solve this situation.
Love and unity is very important. You can abolish all the difference, and when we follow art, it's the most beautiful way, especially for all, for human, animals, vegetal. We must all be one, live in unity. This is my message: peace, love, and unity.